So, here we are with another shark scare. And today's movie is Shark Exorcist. Yeah, an exorcism on a shark. We've really hit rock bottom already. But, you know what? I'm going to just save the details. Let's just go right in to this movie that is totally not bad in any way at all.
Before I begin the review, I will say the movie was filmed in this weird widescreen or odd resolution, so it's this weird little box thing for the video. Sorry, but that's how the movie was filmed for some reason. So Shark Exorcist has a plot, I think. It is something resembling a plot, again I think. So I'm going to do my best to give you a plot synopsis without looking anything up because I want to give you the average viewer experience. So at the beginning of the movie, we are told this nun has killed a bunch of kids because she worships Satan or something. She then kills another woman and throws her very bloody body in the water. So then somehow, I'm really not sure how, an evil spirit just manifests in this lake. Maybe it was already there to begin with? I'm not sure. But there's no real clear indication of that. Anyway, this evil spirit shows up in the lake. We then go, I guess, a year later or so, and we see these three women who are going to the lake to go tan or something. Naturally, one of them decides to go swimming in the lake because why not? Well, this evil spirit decides to show up. If you couldn't guess, the evil spirit demon thing is a shark. The shark bites this woman's leg, who may or may not have hooker makeup on, and she gets rushed to the hospital. We're then told that she is miraculously healed all of a sudden, like a couple days later. But it seems that this evil spirit of the shark was able to get into this woman and has basically possessed her. So it's up to whoever the hell these other people are to get it out of her. The plot is, well, confusing to say the least. There are way too many plot holes for this thing to even make half a lick of sense. The beginning is especially confusing, and I frequently kept going, huh? Or what is going on? I was just all around confused. The main plot makes very little sense, but the one or two side plots introduced make even less sense. They don't even have real endings either. At least the main plot is something resembling an ending. These side plots, though, have nothing. It's not a good plot in the slightest, but so it's like, why would you even introduce side plots? Literally, there are tons of plot holes that are present that could easily be fixed with some basic context that is needed. Like, why is the spirit here? Why is it in the lake? Why does it take the form of a shark? Why have the police not quarantined this lake off if there's a shark in the freaking lake? There's a shark in a lake. Why is this fully grown woman acting like a 3-year-old with a toy shark? Why are some people just throwing up in this movie for no reason? Why does this scene of this guy perving, like straight up actually creepy as hell perving on this woman exist? Actually, no. This movie would need a lot more than some basic context to fix the plot holes. A majority of this movie makes actually no sense. While the first 20 minutes or so has something resembling a story, the rest of the movie does not. It doesn't even in the slightest, really. It literally just goes all over the place. While I will give some small props to the director for a demon-possessed shark, the way it's executed is just atrocious. The characters in this movie are just the worst. Like, legitimately the worst. They aren't even trying to be slightly good characters. I would say there is maybe one almost half-decent character being the main woman, but every other character in this movie is just shit. Yeah, that's the word I would use to describe the context, plot, characters, everything. Shit. It's all that. And I'm still confused about the plot after this. I just don't get it. I just simply do not understand the plot. It doesn't make any sense. But I guess let's just move on to the next topic. Let's talk about how often this shark is on screen. So technically it appears in two forms. When it's possessed, these two women, or this priest for one scene, and when it's actually the shark. For the possessions, I'm just not going to include that because honestly, they give off literally no indication that they're even possessed besides some poor acting. For actual screen time for the shark, it is, well, at its very best, it's average. It's only in a few scenes, but the movie is shorter than a normal movie, I might add. It's near the beginning, it has like 1 or 2 scenes in the middle, and of course shows up at the end. It's very standard for a movie of this caliber, and in terms of how much screen time the shark gets, it was nothing out of the ordinary and was nothing really special in the slightest. It was just kind of sad, honestly, because I think despite it showing up only a few times, I think they actually just reuse clips. Like, I'm pretty certain it's just the same scene that is shown a multiple amount of times. So despite having a number of times it's on screen in the movie, the amount of times it's actually got its own different original screen time is probably even half than what it regularly is. So in the end, it's just pitiful, really. So I guess let's look at the kills now. The kills in this movie are a joke. 2 of them are from this nun, and these are just funny because of how bad they are. The kills by the shark are just borderline non-existent. Like, there is maybe a couple, I can count on one hand how many there are, but you don't even like see anything when they happen. They aren't creative in the slightest, and usually just involve someone just disappearing accompanied by a bad sound effect to imply it. Like, it's a joke. Like, I don't even understand one of them. I still don't understand one of them. Like, just please, watch this scene and just try to explain it to someone.
It's okay to be scared. I won't tell anyone you're just a big pussy.
What is going on?
The kills in this movie are pathetic, pure and simple. But how are the effects in the movie? Effects is a nice way of putting it. Okay, so where do we even begin? Let's start with the shark. It literally looks like a generic 3D model of a shark with a red texture over the eyes. Like, I could do this in Microsoft Paint very easily. It moves at like 10 frames a second, so it's in slow-mo for some reason. The shark animates it very poorly and is just a horrible 3D model altogether. Any other effects, air quotes, are just horrible. Like when people throw up in this movie, it just looks horrible. The blood is something else in this movie, so I personally have never seen anyone get stabbed before, but I don't think this much blood shows up when someone just gets stabbed. Just a guess though. It's just kinda out of control and is more funny than anything else. Another bad effect is the text at the beginning of the movie. They try to add this ripple effect to the text and it doesn't match the water at all. It's like, dude, you can't even get the text right? Really? Like, why even have this bad ripple effect if it doesn't match it? This is literally a basic effect. The sound effects are even more ridiculous. A lot of them are not only reused, but are just terrible all around. They sound like something a high school student uses in their project. In fact, I'm certain high school students today could do better than this. And that throwing up sound effect is terrible as well. The sound in this movie is also terrible. Not only is the mixing horrible, the music is just beyond unredeemable. More often than not in these scenes, the wind is taking over the sound, which could have easily been solved with a $15 mic. Like, I'm not even kidding, a $15 lapel iPhone mic could fix this. So it's hard to hear them. The music is sometimes really loud, drowning out the conversations with the wind, and you just don't even know what they're saying. The music sounds like a phone ringtone for some reason. It's this one track that is maybe like 26 seconds long, and it's just repeated over and over. It repeats like 6 times in the movie. Like, dude, it sucked the first time, and it still sucks. It doesn't get any better hearing it more than once. Like, it sucks. Okay, so I may have brought up the acting a few times in this movie, but let's go more in depth about it. Let me talk a little bit more about it. The movie, the acting in this movie. It can be summarized in one scene. Okay, that's probably pretty predictable at this point. I'm going to cut that one out, but it is a good summary. The acting is just bad. There is no two ways about it. The acting is just so bad. There is not a single person who gets past bad. They're all bad. Nobody was any better than anyone else. They were all beyond atrocious. I legitimately think that I could do probably just as bad of a job, if not slightly better. The only issue I would have is that I'd probably be laughing the entire time because it's just so bad. Not everyone No, really everyone just does not even try in the slightest. A lot of the dialogue is just horrible. It feels like it was written by a 13-year-old. Any of the dialogue about the spirit is just laughably bad and is just as cheesy as imaginable.
It's coming me. Oh, yes. Oh, infect me.
Is your voice deeper?
I think like porn is better dialogue and better acting than the people in this movie. A majority of the acting isn't even so bad that it's good. It's just bad. Like, it makes me frown, it's so bad. Occasionally though, there is the funny line, I will say. I'll throw a bone there. There is some funny stuff in this movie. Like, not on purpose funny, but there is some funny stuff. But it's just awful. In fact, speaking of awful, that's how I would describe this movie. This movie is just awful in like every sense of the word. Well, I will say I wasn't bored watching it, and I have been bored with many other shark movies recently, but I was not impressed in the slightest with this movie. There really was not a single good aspect to the movie at all. Like, not even like one. I mean, I did have some laughs with it, so there is that. I wasn't bored. But besides that, there's really nothing good here at all. It's pretty obvious what this movie's getting on the shark scale. This movie gets a solid 1 out of 5. It's shark shit. There's no other way to say it. The movie sucks. I've really run out of ways to explain the movie sucks. If you imagine a negative connotation that can be associated with a movie, it has it. Gotta catch 'em all. All the negative adjectives anyway. That's not something you should strive for, but that's just where we are at this point in time. Anyway, I hope everyone has a nice day. Probably should avoid this movie unless you're looking for the worst of the worst. Then, yeah, it's pretty up there. I mean, it's not a 0 out of 5, but it's pretty bad. But thanks for watching, everyone. You can follow Twitter in the description, sub, like, comment, all that good stuff. Have a great day, everyone.